Good day, viewers. My name is Deji Ajare. I'm a legal practitioner and the coordinator of Sterling Center for Law and Development. I want to discuss something with us today. It's a very serious issue, something that has been going on for years now, and it affects quite a lot of us, even though we don't know. Um, it's quite serious. It's gaining more attention now, but then it is important that we get it to get even more attention. It is something that led to the hashtag Abuja raids on women recently. Now, this hashtag came out of the raid on the 26th of April 2019 on women in Abuja by a joint task force led by the Abuja Environmental Protection Board, AEPB. Now, this led to a little bit of outrage, with people demanding for an end to the raids. Now, what a lot of people do not know is that this is something that has been going on for a long time, for years. It's been going on for years. A lot of people do not even know that there was a similar case that has gone to the ECOWAS Community Court. The case of Dorothy in Jemanze and others versus the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There, the court held that the arrest, the detention, and the harassment of Dorothy, along with other girls in Abuja, is a violation of their rights, several of their rights. The court also awarded damages against the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But guess what? Characteristically, up until today, this judgment has not been complied with by the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They've not complied with the damages, neither have they complied with the requirement to put in place measures to ensure that such violations do not continue. Now, like I was saying earlier, on the 26th of April, women were arrested arbitrarily in Abuja by the Joint Task Force. Now, in the course of this arrest, what happened? They simply went to clubs, went to bars, went to lounges, went to gardens, picked up women. Some of these women were with their boyfriends, some were with their husbands, some were alone, some were in a group of girls, and they were picked, arrested, manhandled, embarrassed. Some of them were stripped naked in public, and then they were recorded. Pictures were being taken by persons who themselves are parents. Now, this event led to violation of several rights. We have talked about the right to freedom of assembly and the right to freedom of movement, as guaranteed under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the African Charter, and several other instruments which Nigeria is a party to. Now, the implication of this right is that people are free to move around and about at any time of the day. There is no restrictions to their movement unless there is a curfew in place, which is for the safety of the society. Now, there is no such curfew, and there was no such curfew in place. People were out there getting themselves entertained in ways that they like best. But the Joint Task Force, AEPB, gathered touts together, and they took there. Some of them were reeking of alcohol and all manner of things. arrested these girls, picked them up, even while they were in company of their male friends and husbands and boyfriends. And it is interesting to note that despite the protests by some of these people that look, hey, she's my wife. In fact, those who protested were brutalized. They were beaten. Now, it leads us to one question. They claim that these girls were prostituting. That's interesting. Interesting because prostitution is not a crime under our laws. Under the criminal code or penal code, there is nowhere that prostitution was criminalized or is criminalized. So first, being a prostitute is not a crime. So there is no basis to even arrest them. Secondly, assuming that it was even a crime and you needed to arrest them, is it possible for one person to be a prostitute? Is it possible for a girl to just stand and be a prostitute without any engagement from a second party if they are together? Now, how can you come there, pick the female and leave the male? That leads us to the other rights that we want to talk about. The right to freedom from discrimination. Our Constitution guarantees the right of every citizen to freedom from discrimination on the basis of their skin color, their race, their sex, their religion, or other affiliations. Why then should women be targeted for arrests and the men be left to go free? This is a terrible thing. It is unacceptable. And then there are other rights. The right to human dignity. Now, in the course of the arrests, the girls were dragged, beaten, battered, molested. They were verbally abused, called several unprintable names, ashawo, prostitute. They were told so many things. And then eventually when they were taken away, they were dumped with the police. And then the police, of course, detained these girls in very, 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 very terrible conditions. Now, we have been informed that at the time that these girls were arrested, there were about 71 of them in all. But before dawn, that was at night, but before dawn, only about 20 or thereabouts of them were left. What happened to about 50? I will tell you what happened. Those who had monies ranging between 5 to 10,000 naira were, settled and were allowed to go. There were those who did not have the money, but were told to sexually gratify the officers. Some of them did. Some of them had to do it. They had sex with them without condom. Some eventually used pure water sachet for protection before they were released. A very terrible thing, something that is unthinkable, really. Now, eventually, there were just about 20 of them left, such that even the Secretary of Social Development, who led that team herself, complained about that. She complained about that. Now, it's interesting. I want to talk about the Secretary of Social Development because she is a woman, she is a mother. And she has alleged that, what she wants to do is because these girls are prostituting, that is the reason why you have plenty of them that are not married. That is the reason why. And I ask, really, is it part of your business to arrest people for not marrying? Is it part of your business to regulate how people dress? Is it part of your business to regulate how people get entertained, even if they have not committed crimes? Now, it's interesting to know that ordinarily, that woman's job, her job is supposed to be the protection of women, primarily. But it is sad to know that it is somebody who is saddled with the right, the powers, the duties to protect women that is actually now giving them up to be devoured by the security agencies without remorse. I'll get to another woman too later. Now, eventually, these people were detained at the police station, beaten, battered. They were tear gassed by some of these police officers there, some of whose names we already have, the details we're already compiling, and we are going to eventually take action against. Some of these girls were in their period, some of them started their period in the course of their detention, but they were not given facilities to, for their hygiene. Now, this is sad. This is something that one would not expect in a developed, in a democracy like ours. But it happened. When the girls asked to be given sanitary pads and things, they were just basically told off. Now, this we say is a violation of their right to the dignity of human persons. Beyond that, they were eventually arraigned before a tribunal, a mobile court of the Abuja Environmental Protection Board. What is interesting is that before they were arraigned, members of the AEPB had called the girls and advised them to plead guilty to whatever charges were leveled against them, such that they would just be fines that they will pay, and then they can go home. They threatened them basically. They intimidated them by telling them that if they did not plead guilty, they will be taken to Kuje prisons, Kefik prisons, or Suleja prisons, and that they will be there for months before the case will be over. So quite naturally, the girls were scared. Most of them are not so enlightened as to know that, look, they have these rights. So they went, and when the charges were read, some of the charges were that they were offering their bodies as articles of sale. Really? A lawyer crafted and drafted that charge, Barrister Eze? Barrister Eze crafted and drafted that charge, that a woman, a person, a human, is offering his or her body as an article of trade. Really? And those charges were read to them. And guess what? Out of fear, they pleaded guilty. And curiously, the magistrate, a woman, the chief magistrate of FCT, Mrs. Hidayat Akoni, watched this trial and allowed these girls plead guilty to charges that should have been clear to her, needed to be explained to them. A magistrate sat over this tribunal without allowing these girls, without giving these girls the opportunity to proper and fair trial, without advising them to seek legal representation, a right guaranteed under the Constitution. This woman sat there, watched these girls plead guilty to these charges, convicted them, and fined them. Yes, 3,000 naira, and it would look quite easy. But this is the problem. These people are ex-convicts, and they shouldn't be, because they did not commit any crime. They paid, and they were let go. Some of them did not plead guilty, and eventually their cases were either abandoned and struck out. Now, this is the problem. We have a mother, a woman, presiding over these cases. I think she should have known better, but she didn't. When these things happened, we also requested for record of proceedings in writing. We made several requests. We were not given those records. Now, at the end of the day, a group of concerned Abuja residents came together and decided that this injustice will not go unremedied. So we are going to file cases in court for the enforcement of the fundamental rights of the girls, to enforce their rights, one, two, to get compensation for them, and finally, and most importantly, to ensure that we get an order from the court to stop Abuja Environmental Protection Board, FCT, Abuja Municipal Management Council, and all the other security agencies that act in cohort with them from further arresting women simply because they are women and getting entertained in Abuja. We are in the process of doing that. We're going to join everybody who participated in those raids, and we're going to make sure that we bring an end to the raids on women in Abuja. Thank you very much for listening to me. Once again, my name is Deji Ajari.